What is up, YouTube? Today we are back with the long-awaited Guild War defense video. Now, if you clicked into this, there's going to be a lot of different cooks, and Lady of the Scales has changed a lot, and I'll probably make a follow-up video when Genesis Rast comes out because I think he'll be interesting on defense as well, not to mention Satsuka that we're going to be seeing in just a few days. Now, if you do enjoy this video, please let me know in the comments below because, these take an extremely long time to make, not just from theory crafting, but from testing to discussing with other players to trying in arena and thinking about the lose conditions. There's a lot of stuff that goes in behind the scenes. Now, I know some people were mentioning that you're not able to get any of these beautiful coupon codes from Emart's collaboration. So all I want you to do is make sure you join my Discord that is in the description below and leave your name, your in-game name in the comments, okay? And that's it. Okay, I will announce a winner in the following video or in my Discord. If I tag you in my Discord and you're not in there, well, it's going to be kind of awkward. But yeah, so make sure you have pings not muted in the Discord, and I hope you win. I'll be giving these out throughout the next few videos, and yeah, I hope you guys can enjoy and win these as well. But as always, because this video takes such a long time to make, please drop a like, comment for the algorithm and your username for the giveaway, and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's go into our first defense. Now, for defense number 1, it's going to be featuring Lady of the Scales, Renak, and Bloodblade Karin. Okay, so Lady of the Scales, I will show her build in a moment, but the most important thing when you're building a Lady of the Scales defense, and as much as I like making Guild War defense videos where you can just copy and paste, something that's really important when you're thinking of playing with Lady of the Scales on defense is, what is my opponent going to bring into me? Right? This is a really important question that you must ask yourself. And I make this defense with one idea in mind, right? I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna want to go Zeo on me, right? Or he goes for the Harsetti option, which is gonna be, Harsetti Flan or something. But maybe he doesn't want to do that. I have a cleanse, I have BBK, potentially like max damage, and then Renact. So I'm gambling that he's gonna go Zeo, right? So I'm going to be going with Renak, who's going to be at 317 speed on discrete hands. Okay, if you don't have a high attack Renak at 317 or something because your speed's lower, even a 300 is going to suffice. It's just more so about the idea behind the comp. Okay, then I'll be going with BBK, who's going to be on counter, pen set, Dust Devil. Okay, now the reason why I chose Dust Devil is A, because it's kind of free to play, but secondly, not everybody has Summer Photogenic, right? Because obviously ignoring Mitt is pretty good, and obviously Shepherd is pretty good too because you get extra evasion odds to win the game. But I will talk about my setup in just a moment after we see scales. Scales is going to be on, oh sorry, this is the wrong scales. I need to put the right one on, my bad. So the scales I'm running is 275. And the build I'm running is going to be on Queen's Whistle. Okay, you get 15% combat readiness at the end of the ally with the highest attacks turn. Okay, so the whole idea behind this comp is if they try to go for a Zeo Veronica Cavill, which is something that I'm kind of expecting here, right? If they go for the Veronica S3, right? Many times in my videos in Guild War, I talk about, Veronica needs to be on a tanky build, it needs to be on a tanky build, right? The reason why it has to be on a tanky build is when you see a counter BBK like this, it can kill, a Veronica that looks like this, that's built for RTA, right? You're going to get one shot, right? Literally, right? If people skimp out on the bulk, which a lot of people do. And so that's why I've designed this BBK to be on a counter pen set to go max damage. You could opt to go for counter torrent because counter torrent would also give you more damage on the S3. But if your defense is strictly gambling on getting a lucky counter and then proccing Dust Devil, then obviously pen set is going to give you the best value on your return, right? Or best value or best return on your investment rather. Then the Renak is kind of here like bait, right? So if they try to tank down versus you, you have Renak that's going to be on discrete hands. You're going to pilfer. You're going to become the highest attack unit on the team. You're going to become stealth, but the Lady of the Scales is going to boost up with Queen's Whistle to go for an S3. Now, this is going to be interesting because this artifact, you can utilize this not just with a counter BBK, right? Remember, this is almost like a trap to stop the Zeo Veronica Cavil. But if people stop running Zeo into you, what you can make the adjustment to is running a fast DPS, right? That can piggy off of the scales unit, right? So for example, let's pretend this RB is BBK, just as an example, right? We're at 240, we have 4.3k, 300 crit damage, Alexis Basket, and then Renak's gonna S2, S3 Pilfer, become the highest attack. Lady of the Scale is gonna gain 15% combat readiness, increasing attack by all allies. Boost up S3, right, which obviously is going to grant 25% combat readiness and 2k fixed damage. And then RB can maybe potentially wipe the board with an S3, right? You could pretend that's obviously BBK, right? So think of this almost like two defenses in one. Lady of the Scales is extremely, extremely, extremely flexible. Okay, it's super flexible, and I'll be showcasing more defenses in this video as well with her with some other pairings. But this is going to be the first one, and I hope you guys can. The main thing I want you to take away is the thought process behind be putting Lady of the Scales on defense, right? I know a lot of people can do this in Arena because you have 3 other units, but in Guild War, you have to think about what are the most common offenses people are going to want to bring into you, right? So that's the first defense. Moving on to the second defense of the video. Quick little intermission for the sponsor of the video is Huawei AppGallery EU. Now, I got to tell you guys, I'm completely transparent. I whaled out for the coupon shop, and I'm going to show you guys on screen as well. And the way I did this, I used Huawei AppGallery EU, specifically the EU region, because they have the most competitive pricing. And there's also some discounts that they have going on, a 25% discount coupon that works every single week, right? So if you spend €9, you're going to get a total of 11. So you get €2 for free. If you spend €16, you're going to get €20, which is €4 for free, which obviously you can use that towards the coupon system, the Burning Passions, the monthlies, whatever you're looking to buy. Obviously, Satsuka just came out, and also Lady of the Scales. If you haven't got them yet, you're going to want to make some of these purchases to get these heroes, as these are, basically almost like once in a lifetime deals again from Smilegate. And now, additionally, apart from the 25% coupons that I showed on screen, there is also a 15% point back system in all purchases from Thursday to Sunday. So when you're watching this video, that is going to be ongoing at the moment. So when you spend $100, you're going to get 15% points back so that you can use towards your next purchase, right? So for myself, if I will $100, I'll be able to get basically $115 in total, right? So it's basically just free money that you're leaving on the table if you're not, using that. And the great thing as well is when you sign up on Huawei AppGallery, specifically in the EU region, you're also going to be able to get the cheapest pricing available on any Epic 7 packs. And if you need more details on that, join my Discord, ping me on Discord, join their Discord as well, as they also host a lot of giveaways on the Huawei AppGallery EU Discord, as you can see on screen. Okay, I personally have been using Huawei AppGallery for almost 3 years now, so I highly recommend it to anybody that needs to spend on any packs to get any characters. And once again, huge thank you to Huawei AppGallery EU for sponsoring today's video. All right, so for the second defense is going to be featuring Renak, Aram, and Boss Harunka. And so the Renak you've seen in the previous defense is 317 on discrete hands. And the second unit is going to be Aram, who is going to be on her own artifact on Queen's Whistle. And the reason why we are going to have her on Queen's Whistle is because we want her to boost the highest attack after my Renak goes, right? Now, one of the obvious issues is Renak is going to be still, like, his resets are there, but he's still stunned, right? But that's okay, because we want to have Renak just cycle, and apply pressure, right? The most important thing is applying pressure in this defense, because what most people are going to bring into Renax is most likely Fallen Cecilia, right? Fallen Cecilia is going to stop a lot of that fixed damage from her passive, right? And so one way that I want you to look at this defense is not so much just as like a one-to-one, but think about if other people are going to want to bring Fallen Cecilia into this attack, how can I make my second team, want them to have Fallen Cecilia there instead? right? Your second defense should have something that features Urban Shadow Shoe, right? Most people are going to want to bring Fallen Cecilia either into Renak or into Urban Shadow Shoe, and you can't have her on both sides, right? So make sure if you are planning on running this particular defense, or just maybe with Renak in general, try to have Urban Shadow Shoe on the other team to try to force the opponent to make a decision where they want to bring the FCC. But the third unit on this defense is going to be Bossarunka. She's going to be on Noble Oath, double HP immunity set. Immunity is mandatory, no questions asked, and just straight fucking bulk, right? You want to just be alive for as long as possible, right? You want to just tank it out. Because if you are not tanking it out, it's going to be a huge problem, right? You'll be weak to Zeo, you'll be weak to Luna, it'll be bad, right? And one thing I want to say is if you don't have Queen's Whistle, maybe you just pulled ARAM. What you could also run, which I think is very good. So this is, think of it as 2 defense. This is one, again. You can run Potion Vial. And the reason why you're going to run Potion Vial is because you're already on a pretty fast build. Most people are not going to be speed racing you, right? So running a build at 285 is going to be pretty safe. If you want to go even higher, feel free. But the Potion Vial is going to cleanse the stun off the Renak so that when you go for that S3 and you get the cleanse, you're providing him with exploiting weak points, and then Renak's going to be able to instantly S2 into S3 again. Right? That's going to be really, really high damage, right? You're basically doing 14k fixed damage immediately, right? And not to mention that when you pilfer, you're taking their defense and whatever, and obviously it's all AI and stuff, but Renak will do heavy damage when you have the Aram on Wondrous Potion Vial. So think of that almost like 2 defenses in one again, right? But just remember, one thing I want you to take away from this defense is, again, the thought process and the mentality behind making this defense. How do I use my other defense to my advantage, right? I want to force that Fallen Cecilia on both defenses, and that's something that you want to do with any defense that you create, right? If it's weak to Zeo, how can I make both defenses weak to Zeo? If it's weak to Harsetti, how can I make both defenses weak to Harsetti? Right. So that's the main takeaway. That will be defense number 2. And we're going to be moving on to defense number 3 for the video. Now, for the third defense, this is going to feature Lady of the Scales and Festive Ida and BBK. So how this defense is going to work is this is going to be an anti-Luna trap. Okay. So again, you're going to want to make defenses to particularly snipe out certain defenses that people might bring into your Lady of the Scales comp. And so I'm going to be going with Lady of the Scales, who is going to be on Soul Consolation, on top speed, right? Because I want to cut in front of the Luna and then cleanse, right? This guarantees to allow me, even if he's like 300 Frida, right? This is going to allow me to cut since I have the Soul Con. Okay, well, maybe if it's not 310 Frida, but you get the point. Most people aren't going to play 310 Frida, right? So Soul Con's going to cut in between the Luna and the Frida so that you can bridge. And then you're going to have Festive Ida. She kind of works here as like a bait because the Festive Ida, people are thinking, oh, if I can like seal her, she can't do her shyness, she can't proc her damage, she doesn't function as a unit. But you're going to run Abyssal Crown because you don't need to have a lot of effectiveness to actually tag these units that people are going to bring, like a Ludwig, like a Frida, like a Luna, right? So that's why we have her on Abyssal Crown at 290. And then BBK is going to be at 266 on Alexa Basket. If you can make this faster, great. If you can go 250, that's fine too. You don't have to have Torn because again the units are not very tanky, right? It's like Ludwig and stuff, right? So now the whole premise is you want to bait for the Luna, which is why you have like the BBK setup and whatnot. It doesn't matter if Festive Ida is in the front or if BBK is in the front. Not really. It doesn't really matter too much. I think either way, like the placement doesn't matter too much. More so, it's just the thought process behind the comp is to be anti-Luna, right? You want to make 2 units that have passives that get hard cucked, or I guess 3 passives that are hard cucked by the Luna, and then you have Lady of the Scales that can counter, right? Most people are like, oh, it's just like some random RTA build I can outcut or whatever because I can seal it. Well, then the Soulcon bridges and then you're fucked, right? Because Soulcon with a 13% bridge, and mine's not even maxed, right? At 307, if I'm getting a 13% push, I'm cutting to 352, right? Let's just say if Frida gets like 25%, I don't know, like on a random build. If they're a little bit too slow, then you're going to be able to bridge in front of them and they'll be really good. But if you have a max Soulcon, this will be amazing for you. So give this defense a try and hopefully farm those Lunas. Yeah. All right, so for the next defense, this is going to be featuring Conquer Lilius, Abyssal Euphine, and New Kid Aiden for all of my non-Lady of the Scales havers, okay? Conquer Lilius is going to be at 309 speed on Sweet Miracle. You can go, Warhorn, Circus Fantasia, just any artifact honestly is fine, but Sweet Miracle is going to be my preferred since you can get a little bit more bulk on your Conquer Lilius build. And the Abyssal Euphine is going to be at a 250 build on speed and HP on 3F. You don't want to have any crit subs pretty much, but you basically just want to make sure that the Euphine is on a high HP build so that with Vigor you're really tanky and you're throwing a lot of 3F damage out, because at like 30 plus K HP, I mean, it's going to do some really good chunk damage. So run this. And then Aiden, this Aiden can be built many different ways. You can go on like a speed build. You don't have to run speed. You can do like a destruction build that's like slow. You could do like a destruction build that's kind of fast, right, for more damage. It really doesn't matter. But this defense does pretty well because I think a lot of people will try to like tank it and you just basically kill them, right? Now, is it susceptible to people running like Beedom, Benimaru, and stuff like that? I mean, to some degree, yes. But remember, like people don't know what your defenses are. I think a lot of people that often watch these Guild War defense videos, they're like, oh, like I'll just fucking Beedom like Benimaru Watcher or like fucking like that Amwilken, blah blah blah. It's like, dude, it's like, yeah, you can see my fucking stats, dumbass. Of course you fucking can run a certain comp. Anyway, if there's anything you want to take away from is think about the flexibility of these characters, right? The Aiden is going to be able to be granted 20% combat readiness every single turn, where she's going to be able to S3, right? So if you run something like RNL, Summer Photogenic, Alexa Basket, any of those artifacts are going to be fine. The EE, you can run the increased effectiveness speed EE if you want to cut in front of things really, really fast, right? Because you have the tempo to do so, right? If I go on like a really fast speed build, that looks something like this, right? Like 278. I'm going to be able to take my turns so damn quick because my Vigor stays for like 3 turns, right? Or start 2 turns. So when Aiden gets the S3, you just keep cycle, and the Euphine is going to be here to basically allow the Aiden to just go off, right? And it's going to be really high value, and it's really hard to tank. So if anybody tries to tank it, like good luck, you're probably going to die, right? And it's kind of anti-Lionheart because Lionheart can't really gain as much CR, and also you're going to be hitting into like 3F, and also the Aiden can dodge, right? So this is a very good comp that at high levels is actually surprisingly has been doing pretty well. I personally haven't found that much success, but I know a lot of people have been finding success in guilds that we've fought and in our guild. So give this defense a try, let me know how it goes, and on to defense number 5. Now, the next defense I'll be covering is actually Boss Harunka Ilanab Harseti, as you can see on the left-hand side. So Harseti is going to have to basically be on an injury build. This is mandatory. If you don't have an injury build, forget it, right? You can't run this comp, right? Because a destruction or a effectiveness one is just not going to, give you enough damage in the long run, which is what we're aiming for, right? We're going to be going with Ilanab here, who's on Prot Set Aureus. Now, this build can be tweaked in many ways. You can go on like a speed set, and you can try to run Rise of a Monarch to cycle shields. You can go for a really fast build, again on Rise of a Monarch to cycle shields. You can go on a destruction build that's really high damage on Elbrus, right? Any of these options are okay because Ilanab is pretty flexible, and the main thing Ilanab is here to do is just kind of stop you from dying versus the ARAM and the Huayang pick. And mainly, having it really high bulk is the way you're going to be able to survive that, right? You could change the Aureus to Adamant. You can do like Proof. I don't know. There's a lot of different builds you can go in Ilanab. Just run with what you have. This is my RTA build, so hopefully you guys can kind of understand what I'm talking about in terms of all the different builds. Then third unit you're going to be going with is Boss Harunka. Now, arguably, Boss Harunka is probably the most important because she needs to have some insane stats, right? You can see my bulk here. It's very, very high. Here are the individual pieces. And the whole premise of this is obviously you want to make sure that she has the highest defense to tank the Hua S2 if they do go ARAM into you. The effect resistance honestly is not that important, but you don't have to have like if you don't have this much bulk, maybe you're a little bit less. At least have like effectiveness so you can strip when like land defense breaks and stuff. Noble Oath is okay. Proof of Valor is very good. It's arguably the best one. And then Holy Sacrifice is pretty good as well if you do want to play that route. But If you have a really cracked counter set, obviously Rocket Punch is, never a bad thing. But you want to go for this type of build, and the whole premise behind this comp is you basically just tank all their damage, and then Harsetti eventually can drag the game long enough on a high damage injury build with Fairy Tail, where there's just so much chip damage, and then you're able to kill them. Right now, for example, if some people are going to be running, young Senya into you, it is going to be a little bit of a gear gap. This defense is very, very versatile. Okay, if you are able to, I know some people have seen in the past, you can go something like this, where you go on a counter build and you drop the FRES and you go effectiveness. Have a little bit of effectiveness on your build is fine. If you can drop the immunity, you can do that as well. But mainly, if you do go for the counter build, you want to make sure that you're playing Elbrus Illinev. If you're not playing Elbrus Illinev, then the counter build isn't that good, right? Because you have counter win con. So most people, even in high ranks, are playing just basically ARAM Hua. So this team is pretty good into it. Obviously, if people start running different things into you, then you can change it. But you can tweak these builds as you see fit. For the next defense, I'm going. It's Conquer Lilius, Lord Lady of the Scales, rather, and then BBK. So Conquer Lilius is going to be on like a standard speed build on Sweet Miracle. So you're basically applying tempo for your team, and then you're going to be going with Lady of the Scales, who is going to be on Guardian Ice Crystals, so that you have survivability. Now, I mentioned this defense of BBK and Lady of the Scales before, but without an opener. So for Lady of the Scales, instead of Guardian Ice Crystals, you are going to be able to do something like Queen's Whistle, which I've talked about earlier in this video. Right, Queen's Whistle is pretty good as well because you can tune everything together to go for a BBK wipe. I personally like to play anti-cleave in this kind of setup because people see the Zeo and stuff, or sorry, they see the Conquer Lilius, they'll feel maybe a little bit more inclined to go with some kind of, Zeo Veronica cleave. Which technically could win, but there is a pretty large margin of error for the enemy using that comp. So BBK is going to be on a counter build on Dust Devil. Once again, you can do Summer Photogenic, you can do Shepherd. It doesn't really matter. I just like Dust Devil for the win con versus the Veronica. And obviously, if you're able to get the Vigor up, that's basically GG's, right? But the main thing here is if you have ER and they do go Zeo into you, you could arguably cut if you decide to play like a fast Lady of the Scale, like I mentioned before. But if you're planning on cutting Veronica, good luck, right? Which is why we want to have the counter BBK in place. And then the Zeo is just to apply pressure and kind of bait the Zeo player to run the Zeo Veronica Cavill comp into you, right? This comp is very, very nice. If you want to, you can go Proof of Valor on this as well. Proof of Valor is going to allow you to tank like a Cavill S2 if you increase the bulk and drop the FRES, but it really is up to you. This defense, these two can be paired with basically anything, right? I'm giving you another example of Conquer Lilius and the thought process behind it in terms of what you're trying to bait, but these two together, Lady of the Scales and BBK, is just so strong right now that I feel like everybody that watches this, you pretty much can just interchange this third unit over and over and over and over. But those are the defenses. I will showcase another two in just a moment. Now for defense number 7, it's going to be Harsetti, Ida, BBK. And this defense has been running pretty rampant in the meta, I think. It's kind of one of the premier defenses before Lady of the Scales came out. And this is basically how you set it up. So Harsetti is going to be on Knowledge Seed. Now, assume this is like plus 30. So if you have one, then put that on. I just put a spare copy on just because, like, it doesn't matter, right? So you want to be on either Destruction or Injury set. Whatever set is fine. You could even go like hit... like effectiveness technically, but you kind of want to have the raw damage, right? So Destra is going to be your best friend in this case. And then you're going to be going with Festive Ida, who's going to be on a little bit of effectiveness, Abyssal Crown, and high HP, and 1.4k defense. Now, the next unit you're going to want to run is BBK. And we're going to be going Summer Photogenic. If you don't have this at plus 30, you can go Shepherd or the Hollow. Either one is going to be fine, right? So the reason why you might be looking at this BBK and you're like, wow, why is this BBK's defense so high? It's intentional, right? Because in most cases, a lot of the people are running ARAM Hua into this defense with like Spirit Eye Celine on third. So one interesting way that you can kind of, counteract that is basically have the BBK be at the highest defense so that the Huayang S2 is going to target the BBK, right? Once the Huayang S2 targets the BBK, your Ida is still stealth. And obviously, you're going to be able to tank a lot of damage, right? Now, assuming that your Harsetti dies in one shot, if it's like a super nuked out Huayang, then what's going to happen is Knowledge Seed can grant greater attack buff. It can grant increased defense, increased evasion, immunity, increased critical resistance. There's a lot of random buffs that you can get, right? Think about like evasion, right, or gab, right? It's going to be a lot of damage for your BBK to work off of. And so that's why this defense is really versatile, because your Harsetti dies and grants buffs to your team, but then your Ida doesn't die, right? And because your Ida doesn't die, the Huayang is going to be able to basically not kill her since she's stealth. And we all know how it works with the Harsetti setup, right? In the Harsetti setup, there is always a chance where you just kind of lose because of bad tuning, right? So that's kind of something that we're gambling on as well, so that in the case where they, maybe set up their Huayang incorrectly with the backline being Celine or something, then you can kind of win based off this. You could even go double Knowledge Seed on Festive Ida if you have 2 copies. I personally don't, so I would not run this kind of defense, but this is a pretty cheese defense that have been kind of getting some Huayangs off guard. And obviously it's a bit of a gear check as well, right? Because you're so tanky. So give this one a try and let me know if you guys are able to get some shields off it. All right, so for the last defense of the video, this is going to be a defense that I've shown before in a previous Guild defense video, but the reason why I'm including in this video is because it still farms like crazy. Now, is it going to farm at the highest levels of Guild War? No, obviously not. But if you're in like a rank like, I'd say 100 to 500 and you're a 4, I mean, this defense is just straight up broken, right? So it's going to be the Briar setup on Renewed Will on top speed. And then you're going to be going with Mort, who's going to be on Bastion of Perlucia to buff stack your Flan on speed set around like 250. And then you're going to want to have your Flan at 264, 265 on Guiding Light so that you can't get targeted. And then obviously with the 15% push at 264, you're going to be able to bridge with your Briar Syria so that you're going to be able to basically Briar S3 into Flan S3 into Mort S3, and then they're feared, right? And then if they try to kind of cleave you, then you have the Mort anchor with the Flan on Guiding Light, which is pretty funny as well since you can get some death breaks. And obviously Mort and Flan being on speed set, they're going to be cycling quite fast. So this defense is still very, very strong, and I'll put the screenshots up to prove it. Shout out to Robo Penguin. I mean, he's one of my longtime like community members, and he's been running this for a long time since he has one of the best briars in the world. And if you're thinking if you need to have damage on this, no. If you can have effectiveness, that's even better. I just put whatever like speed gear I had laying around on her just for the video. So run this one. It farms if you're in lower ranked guilds in a fort. All right, so this part of the video, I'm actually going to talk about an arena defense because some people were asking me what would be good on arena defense with Lady of the Scales. So you can see that I'm actively kind of farming shields, and my win rate this week is 45% ever since I put Lady of the Scales on my defense, which kind of goes to show that it's pretty much farming. You're not going to be able to see a lot of my log because I did a lot of NPC challenges, so it's kind of all gone. But the defense team that I'm running right now is I'm going with Lady of the Scales on counter, and just for extra fear chance, BBK has 3 immortalities with the EE on Dust Devil and counter pen so that I can maximize damage in case people run like Veronica or stuff into me. I kind of just kill them for free. And then my Sasuke wasn't in here before. Obviously, she just got released today as I'm recording this video. I had Empyrean Illinab in here before, so I had the prot set Immunity Aureus, so that I just had mitigation and I was protected versus a lot of like the Hua comps and stuff like that. And then I have Harsetti as well here on Fairy Tale for Nightmare on Injury set. And this actually farms because the injury is able to ramp up and do, really, really good with the injury. And then obviously you still have the BBK on a timer. You get the abundance damage on the whole team so that your Fairy Tale just does more damage. So this is very good. If you want to copy this, feel free. I know that there's some other people that are in Arena that are running like a different variation, but another piece of arena advice I'd give to you, if you guys are looking for a better arena defense with scales, just go to total ranking and then look at what people run, right? Usually, like when I was climbing an arena in the past, like all you really need to do is you want to look at the arena defenses that other people are running and you just want to copy them, right? Because you want to copy them because they're running these defenses and they're having higher win rates. Otherwise they're going to be just like depleted in points, right? So that's kind of something that you want to take away based on the stats that obviously you're able to reach on your own account. Give that a try and yeah, run with it. All right, so that's going to do it for the Guild War defense video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will be completely honest, I'm going to have to make another one when Setsuna comes out and when Genesis Wrath is available to everybody. So in the near future, we're going to be seeing a bunch more of defenses. You won't have to wait as long for another Guild War defense video. But I just want to quickly say at the very end of the video, huge shout out to Smilegate, because making these videos used to take me so fucking long, but now that there's the revert equipment history, it's actually way easier for me to make these. Part of the reason why I didn't do these is because back then I either had to wait for an unequip, a free unequip rather, or had to just blow gold for the sake of the video, which was really not cost efficient, obviously. And this just saves me a lot of time. So shout out to Smilegate. And if you guys were able to, get shields with this defense video, please drop a like and comment for the algorithm. It really helps the video go a long way. And I will be making another Guild War defense video, 2 more, with Genesis Wrath and Setsuna, like I said. So stay tuned for that, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!